Welcome to A.U.M. Ask Us Marketing. I'm your host, Callie Fedesinko. I'm the founder of Savvy Advisor Marketing, a digital marketing agency developed to build relationships between financial advisors and their target audience, using data to create websites, online content, and ads. We build relationships first and grow numbers second. And if you'd like to learn more about me, you can scan the QR code, and it'll take you to my bio page. Our episode today is brought to you by the Financial Planning Association, otherwise known as the FPA. The FPA is a great resource center providing education, support, and networking opportunities for financial advisors like you. So, it's not about what feels right, it's about what works. Today, we're doing a deep dive into the real numbers behind high-performing emails and text messages for financial advisors with the founder of Snappy Kraken, Robert Sofia. Robert will break down what Snappy Kraken's latest data reveals about timing, frequency, messaging tone, and what makes clients and prospects actually click, reply, and engage. If you're sending emails into the void or ghosted on text follow-ups, this is your data-driven reset. So please join me in welcoming Robert. Hi, Robert.
Hello, Callie. Hi.
I just want to give a reminder to the audience that if you have questions as we're going along, please put them in the comments because we will see it on our side. How are you on this Monday?
I'm good. Obviously, trying to cram more in than I actually can, seeing that I'm in my truck right now, but it's a Monday.
I mean, we've all been there.
That's right. Exactly. At least we show up, right?
Yeah, exactly. And speaking of showing up, let's talk about emails because I was going to ask you a lot of questions about like the execution and what's really working, but I really want to talk about the investment it takes to see the traction because at Jolt and with some other peers, what I'm hearing a lot is how long it takes for something to start working. And so before we start talking about like, okay, this is when you should send an email and then someone does it and they don't get any traction, I want to talk about setting those expectations. And you have worked with so many advisors that you can give us some realistic expectations here.
I'll do my best.
So, can you give us an idea, like how many advisors does Snappy Kraken work with now? And I mean, throughout your career, are we talking hundreds, thousands?
Yeah. Well, my career, tens of thousands. But,
Okay.
But Snappy Kraken today, it's my third business serving advisors.
Yeah.
And Snappy Kraken serves 7,000 advisors who are part of 4,000 firms.
Yeah.
And we have data on. I think last year we deployed something like 600,000 marketing campaigns. So yeah, a lot of data points.
A little bit, just a tad. What kinds of things can you see? Can you see the open and the click and the traffic?
Oh yeah. Opens, clicks, views, plays, things, everything from text message, email, landing pages, websites, what they're viewing, what they're clicking on, how they're interacting with content, how long they're staying on page. Yeah. And even any other publicly available data that we can use to enrich contact records. So we're starting to have data on things like, assets under management for new contacts coming into the system.
That's really interesting. And what about like new clients and net new assets? I imagine you can't really see that, but maybe you have your account managers ask those questions.
Yeah. Well, we have interesting data that comes in from a variety of sources. Some of it is anecdotal and some of it is really measurable. So I'll give you some examples.
Yeah.
We have enterprise customers who we've integrated our platform with, and it ties back to actual inflows and commission data and things like that. So we can see, but it's isolated to certain enterprises. So there might be a group of 100 advisors where we can actually track A.U.M and pipeline and performance. Across our platform, though, any advisor that integrates with Catchlight, we can see for all the leads that come in, what the estimated value of those clients is, what the assets under management are estimated. If they integrate with other tools like their CRM, and we can see that data, we have some of it. So there's a lot, but it's not across the board 100% of the time. a couple of key data points that I think are really interesting
Hmm.
around this. We have a third party. You've probably heard of Track That Advisor.
No.
They work with about okay, so they work with about 125 advisors, and they
Okay.
track all of their performance. And so we can see from those advisors the average client size. We can see the amount of leads that actually convert into clients, the timeline, and so we know that 50 days, for example, is the average from somebody opts into a campaign to when they become a client. So that's a little over a month and a half. And then we've got data that shows asset management by level. The 67% of the leads that come through have $1 million or more in investable
Mm,
assets, but that's an isolated group of 125. So
okay.
uh, I don't know
Okay.
if that answers your question, but we have all the first party data we can see: clicks, opens, views. Whether they
Right.
become a client or not and what those clients are worth depends on the level of integration and tracking at the firm.
Right. Okay. Um, so you said for those 125 advisors, it takes about 50 days from contact to client.
From opt-in to client, yes.
Oh,
Now,
okay.
when you're running campaigns for events and
Hmm.
campaigns for online advertising and campaigns on social media and campaigns to your old list, campaigns to clients, campaigns to prospects, you can
Right.
understand that the nature and intent of those campaigns is different. And
Hmm.
so we have advisors who come in, sign up within a week, they're deploying an email campaign designed to re-engage an old list
Yeah.
of prospects, and those prospects engage and some become clients right away. On the other hand, you have advisors that come in and they're starting from scratch. And so they're building a list and they're getting opt ins slowly and they're starting to nurture that list, and the timeline might be much longer. So
Right.
it's not one size fits all.
Right. Um, and do you have any idea like how many campaigns these people are sending that are getting a client in 50 days? Like, oh, well, they did, I don't know, campaign every week or something.
Yeah, yeah. So the nature of marketing
Hmm.
and then getting a client is that it really depends on who the person is you're marketing to and where they're at in their own process.
Yeah.
And so that's where intent comes into play. So, do we have advisors who deploy a campaign, get high intent prospects who come in and become clients in a matter of weeks? Absolutely. But then there's other examples where, like, one of our advisors just responded recently to something and said, "Hey, I had a referral that was sent to me 6 months ago. She didn't take action. We were sending her emails every week. She just called me and said she's ready. She came in and she moved money." So in that situation, it was 6 months. Why?
Yeah.
Because the person just wasn't ready until 6 months later. And so for us to say things like, the average time from an opt-in
Right.
to becoming a client is 50 days, yeah, that's an average.
Right.
Sometimes it's 3 days, sometimes
Yeah.
it's 300.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. I'm on the same page for that. I would
Yeah.
say, in my
Yeah, you
experience,
understand.
it usually leans more towards 300 days, unless it's someone who is warm, like they've already got some sort of relationship with you. But starting from scratch, unless they were Googling, I just don't really see conversions that quickly.
Yeah, it all depends. We've got lead sources, advisors on our platform. There's over 30 different lead sources that
Yeah.
they use. So Smart Asset, Wiser Advisor, Steep Digital, Acquire Up, Leading Response, all these different, event solutions and lead gen solutions.
Mhm.
And some of those bring in higher intent leads, people who were looking for something very specific, like capital gains calculator. And that's because they just had an exit from their business and they're looking for an advisor, and they come in very high intent and they convert quickly. But marketing is usually a lot more
Mhm.
like farming. You have to plant the seeds and you have to water them and you have to nurture them, and over time they bear fruit. But the bigger your database is and the more of that you're doing over time, the better results you eventually are able to
Right.
harvest.
Yes. How do you respond to prospects, maybe even clients too, advisors who are like, well, when can I expect something? When am I going to
Yeah.
get a client? Because I mean, that's something that I face all the time, and I don't have a straight answer.
Yeah. I love the question, but
Yeah.
usually it prompts a discovery conversation. So if
Mm.
an advisor says that, I'll say, okay, well, let's talk about what you're working with. So
Hmm.
how many prospects do you have in your database right now? How many clients do you have? Do you get referrals from those clients? How often do you get referrals from those clients? Are you advertising? How much are you spending on advertising?
Right.
Are you buying leads? How many leads are you buying? uh, what's your experience with your website? Are you getting leads from your website? And so all of those things, what they help you to figure out is where's the starting point. Because
Mm-hmm.
if you have something to work with, then
Mm-hmm.
you can get results quickly. We have
Right.
advisors who come in with a really great foundation, and then we just adjust the tactics and the approach, and then they start getting results immediately. But we
Right.
also have advisors that come in with literally nothing, and they have, an old website, no email list, no followers. And when they ask that question, it becomes much harder to predict because there's no benchmarks to
Right.
say, well, here, based on this number of contacts and this amount of activities and this amount of spend, you could expect X. We can do that. But if
Mm-hmm.
there's nothing, it's like, okay, well, we got to build your brand, build your presence, build your funnels, build your and then you got to get people in, and then you got to build trust with them, and that's going to take time, and it becomes harder. So even if you look at all the industry data, like from Kits and other sources, starting out as a new advisor is very difficult. So
Yeah.
from zero to success often depends more on hand-to-hand combat than it does just on marketing.
Right. Absolutely. All right. I'm going to take some notes here on how I'll respond to my clients next.
You
Of
understand, yeah.
yeah. Of your most successful users, because you just brought up something, how many of them are using additional strategies and content? Because I would suspect that the more successful, they're using multiple channels and mediums. Do
Oh,
you have any data on
absolutely.
that?
Yeah, absolutely. So we integrate every social channel they use,
Mm,
every lead source they have, every data enrichment source, whatever CRM they're using. And so that allows us to get a pretty broad view of what's working for
okay.
advisors and what's not. And most of them the ones that we work with, because we're very growth oriented,
Mm-hmm.
are investing in growth.
Mm-hmm.
Usually they have at least 5 lead sources. And
Mm,
so that includes their social profiles, their website, and then at least one or two other things, which could be events, it could be advertising, it could be a podcast, a radio show, television appearances, whatever it is. They usually have a channel or two that they are leveraging with Snappy Kraken to
right.
drive outcomes. In fact, firms that come to us and don't have social channels, don't advertise, don't have other lead sources, we will usually tell them not to waste their money
Mm,
because we're a marketing automation platform. What are we going to automate if you have nothing?
right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Which actually that comes to my next question, which you've kind of just answered. Do you help in getting leads or just nurturing the leads?
Yeah. So our core competency is, if you think about marketing automation
Mhm.
generally, you think of tools like HubSpot and Salesforce and MailChimp. Some people, those tools that send emails, send text messages, deploy campaigns, track and measure them. That's your system of action.
Okay.
That's what Snappy Kraken is. The bonus is we've got all the compliance workflows and all the content templates and frameworks to work with. And for our enterprise partners, we build custom content for them. So
Mm,
all of that content and deployment plays a role in marketing. Separate from that, you've got your system of record, which is your CRM that we integrate with. And then you've got your activities that ultimately fill these things up. What
mm,
fills up your marketing platform? What fills up your CRM? It's other sources.
right.
So for that reason, although we do generate leads
Mhm.
through, for example, their website, we come in and we do things like build them a really search optimized website, create
Mm,
strong calls to action on their website to get opt-ins, and
mm,
then nurture those, qualify them with third-party data on their assets, home value,
mm.
age, things like that. And
Yeah.
so people think of us like a lead gen provider. I don't put us in that bucket. And if you look at most of the fintech maps, we're not in the lead gen bucket, because
Okay.
a lead gen provider is somebody who just brings you those leads. They
Yeah.
bring you those opportunities. We get some of that organically, naturally, but
Mhm.
the really successful firms, they have lead gen sources, a
Mm,
marketing automation platform, and a CRM. And
right.
those three are all working together,
Yeah.
growing the value of a database over time and converting them into clients.
Okay, let's talk about the difference between a CRM and a marketing email automation platform because I think there's a lot of misunderstanding of, how they differ.
There is a lot of people don't understand, and The easiest way I can explain it, you might have heard me, I use these terms already, but
Mhm.
I'll build on them. System of record,
Mhm.
system of action.
Okay.
So, a system of record, your CRM.
Mhm.
What what is the client contact information? What accounts do they have? Who are their beneficiaries? What is the history of the account
Right.
over time? When did we meet with them? All of those things. That's your system of record. System of action. What do you do with that data? How do you
Mm.
read that? How do you uncover opportunities in that database? How do
Mhm.
you identify clients where there's greater share of wallet to be gained? How do you identify prospects that actually have assets and might be qualified or at a stage of life where it's time to market to them? And then
Right.
once you identify them, how do you market? What campaigns are relevant for them? So, what are you going to deploy? What
Mm.
emails? On what cadence? What text messages? On what cadence? What content? Topics? And then, as that's all happening and they're engaging with it, then scoring their engagement to identify the
Mm.
highest intent, highest value opportunities for the advisor to take action on. That's marketing automation. That's what we
Yeah.
do. So we live alongside the system of record,
Right.
but we leverage that. And then we also send data back in. So if you go
Okay,
into your
that's gonna be
system
my
of
question.
record, then you can see, hey, look, wow, this client has read all of these commentaries that I've sent, or
Right.
they've opened all of these visual insights newsletters on behavioral finance. And so
Mhm.
that goes into your system of record, but the actual activities, the monitoring, scoring, deployment of those and reporting on them, that's what we do.
Okay. That makes sense. Um, and for anyone joining, an example of a system of record would be Redtail. I've been getting a lot of people who are using Redtail recently.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. Redtail, Wealthbox, Salesforce. Yeah.
yes. Okay, so you're not a lead gen, you're lead nurturing, or I can't remember
Marketing
the term.
automation.
Yes. I was like, what is the term
Marketing
you just
automation.
used?
Yes, yes.
From the lead magnets that you're creating, um, how are people promoting them? I guess would be my question. Is it just on social? Is it just living on their website? How are they getting traffic to their lead magnets?
Yeah. So a lead magnet is one component
Yeah.
of some marketing campaigns. And the way people get to those lead magnets could be on a variety of different channels. So let me give you some examples. Not all of our campaigns have lead magnets.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just want to send an email. Sometimes you want to send a link to a video for people to
Right.
watch. Sometimes you want to um, give them just a little dose of perspective with a chart and say, if you want more information, click here to book a meeting with me. There's all different types of content that does not, in fact, most of our content doesn't have lead magnets.
Oh,
To be
okay. I
clear,
didn't know that.
we, yeah, we release content every week.
Mhm.
We create one lead generation campaign per quarter.
Mm.
So every quarter we come out with a lead gen campaign that includes, and this is getting to the point of your question,
Yeah.
the social posts,
Okay.
which link back to a page with a lead magnet,
Right.
the emails which link back to a page with a lead magnet, the ads that you can publish on Facebook, which link back to the lead magnet, the widget for the website, which has download our ebook and links back to
Mhm.
that ebook. So lead magnets can be a calculator, an ebook, an infographic, a guide, anything people want and are willing to exchange their contact information for. So in that scenario,
Mhm.
we identify the ideal client persona that we're marketing to. Could be a high net worth individual, a business owner, a female tech executive, whatever that is for that quarterly piece. We build an entire campaign around that, all those elements. The
Yeah.
goal is to drive as many people in that target profile back to that lead magnet to raise their hand and say, hey, I want that thing. I'm interested in that thing.
Mhm.
Here's my cell phone number. Text it to me. Here's my email.
Mm.
Send it to me. And now you can say, hey, Callie, great to meet you. I'm glad you got this thing,
Yeah.
whatever that
Right.
whatever that lead magnet is. And the conversation ensues.
Got it. Did you say you do ads too as part of the campaign?
We do. Yeah.
Wow.
We also have pixel tracking
Mhm.
that you can set up on any landing pages individually or by default for all of your landing pages.
Okay.
Now, not
Okay.
all of our
Yeah.
campaigns have ads, but the lead
Sure.
generation campaigns do
And I think you said you do that once a month or once a quarter?
once a quarter.
Once a quarter.
Quarterly.
Okay.
So the idea is a quarterly lead gen campaign gives advisors something topical. Every season they can
Yeah.
change that's relevant. So we know, for example, that when we create the tax saving strategies for high net
Mm-hmm.
worth investors campaign, every mid to late January through April, that thing
Right.
just crushes it. So
Yeah.
that's typically our first quarter campaign. And then, throughout the year, we analyze the market conditions, the economy, the things that really are on people's minds. We've done things like, when cryptocurrency is on fire, we've done things about
Mm.
crypto. Should I invest in
Mm-hmm.
crypto? And those things we generally pick topics that are going to be very timely or very provocative,
Yeah.
to create lead gen campaigns around, so people can, see the relevance and the timeliness that usually drives them to take action.
Right. All right. So we all want more clients, obviously, right? But typically you're not going to get a new client from one email. So we have to measure other things to know if the emails are working. Generally, that's the open rate and then the click rate and are they unsubscribing. And I know you said you don't have the paperwork in front of you, but can you give us an idea of
Yeah.
what open rate should we be aiming for as an advisor?
Yeah. And look, I don't have the data in front of me because I'm in my car, but
Yeah.
you can get the data. If you go to Snappy Kraken, go to our guides, you can download any of our guides that have all of our data benchmarked every year that we do. I will share some of the most popular or
Yeah.
important data points. And because I don't remember the exact numbers on all of them, what I'll do is I'll give you like the range within 10% or so. And then you can
Perfect.
go get the guides and see. Like I know 20s or 30s or 40s, for example. So here are some things I do know. If you're emailing your clients, you can expect an open rate in the 30s or 40s% if
Okay.
you have an engaged client base and good subject lines and good content. If you're emailing prospects, you should expect a lower engagement rate, typically in the 20s, typically low to mid 20s if they're prospects. As they become more engaged, sometimes you can get that up into the mid 30s. And by more engaged, what we find is when you send meaningful content every single week, those open rates start to go up. So weekly is the cadence that drives the highest open rate with the least amount of unsubscribes.
Okay.
If you start to email further apart, you
Yeah.
start to get either more unsubscribes or lower engagement, which is interesting.
Interesting. That
Yep.
is
So
very interesting.
so weekly drives the best.
Hmm.
Something else that's very interesting is if you put video in the subject line and you link to a video, your open
Mhm.
rates will double.
I've seen
If you
that.
put, yeah, exactly. If you put a video in an email, link to a video, your click rates will double.
Mhm.
Now, now, if you think about that, that's just an example of the power of using the right medium. Because
Right.
if you want to double the engagement of your prospects,
Mhm.
send a video, right? That's a
Mhm.
that's a that's a very simple example. Here's another one. By putting a widget on the homepage of your website that says,
Mhm.
text me your questions about, whatever
Mm.
your niche
Yeah.
is, right? Do you have questions
Yeah.
about your employee stock option plan? Do you have questions about your 401k? Do you have questions about how to make sure healthcare costs don't undermine your quality of retirement?
Right.
Whatever it is,
Yeah.
text me. If you put text me your questions
Yeah.
and you put your compliance approved text number on your website,
Mhm.
you will get four times the number of leads from your website. So it goes up 4x.
That is
Uh,
amazing.
so that's just an example.
Yeah.
Those are a few examples of data points that we found to be very relevant this year in our marketing strategies. There's others, but
Yeah.
I think those are the biggest.
Any topics that you're like, these topics are killing it right now?
Boy, I wish I would have asked my head of advisor content that question before this call, because he tracks all of that. I know we just had a really popular. We did a visual insights newsletter. We released it back in March or April,
Mhm.
and it was all about tariffs.
Mm.
How do tariffs work? What is the impact of tariffs? How will tariffs? And of course, that's a very
Mhm.
mainstream topic. So that performed really well this year. Lately, we've been releasing timely communications about the Fed and
Mm.
interest rates, considering where inflation is. Because if you see that right now, that's something that a lot of people are wondering: are interest rates going to keep going down? Is inflation going to keep going up? And so we've created timely communications with some really nice historical charts on
Yeah.
that. Those are getting really high engagement. A lot of clients and prospects responding back to advisors and thanking them for those types of communications.
Hmm.
And I think it goes back to just like the more timely The more
Right.
relevant it is, the more people, engage with it, the better the results are.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I feel like email is like one of the last opportunities for a lot of advisors. What would you say to an advisor who's skeptical of email marketing or who has been disappointed in the past?
Yeah, I mean, I I don't even know where to begin because email is owned real estate.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when you have an email list, that email list is yours to engage with. They've given you permission to talk to them anytime you want. And effective email marketing is still driving far better conversion rates in business than any other source. In fact, I can tell you, um, in the same third-party data from Track
Yeah.
That Advisor, they measure seminar, radio, podcast,
Mm.
video, advertising, lead sources like
Yeah.
lead gen providers, and Snappy Kraken emails. And so when you look at all that data, we actually outperform the ROI of seminars.
Wow.
Emails outperform the ROI of seminars. They outperform the ROI of most lead gen sources. And it's because if you actually do the work to
Mhm.
get emails, our ROI, by the way, within 2 years is 5.26 to
Wow.
1. So
Oh, that's
that's
good.
email.
Yeah.
5.26 to 1 with email. That's because that person is getting your brand, your face, your
Mm-hmm.
perspective in front of them consistently. That builds trust, that builds credibility, and that is what this whole business is based on. So if 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 any advisor has been burned in the past or they're skeptical, I would say, well, that's probably because it wasn't done right for you or you didn't do it right
Mm-hmm.
yourself.
Mm-hmm.
That's okay.
Yeah.
So, I got on a wakeboard. I bid it a few times. I'm not skeptical. I need to go back and do more, right? I
Right.
need so I
Yeah.
can really, really fly on that thing and start doing jumps.
Yeah.
It's email is a marketing channel that takes time to build a quality list,
Mm-hmm.
develop engagement with that list, be consistent in your communications. And then if you do that over time, it just gets better and better. It becomes this constant revenue source for your business. So I would
Cool.
prioritize getting email addresses, building an email database
Mm-hmm.
in my business through a variety of channels, however I could get emails,
Yeah.
and keeping those emails warm and building a brand reputation with them over any other marketing activity. And
Mm.
I'm not just saying that because we happen to do email as one. That's only one of the things we do. I mean, there's a
Right.
lot of other things. We build websites. That has nothing to do with email.
Right.
But email is very powerful.
Let's talk about the quality of list. And we can kind of end on this. One, how do you feel about adding people to your email list without their permission? And two, how do you recommend people building their email list?
Yeah. So the answer to the first question is it depends on how you do it.
Mm.
So we work with an advisor who's in a small
Mhm.
town where there's a very big association of people that are in his ICP, and they have a printed directory.
Okay.
And every day, it's also online, it's digital, but it's like a PDF.
Right.
He goes on there and he manually enters 10 or 15
Mm.
contacts
Mhm.
and sends them all a personal email,
Mm.
tells them where he got their information, who he is, why he's reaching out, and says, if you don't want to hear from me, please don't report this as spam. Just respond and say, take me off your list and I'll do it.
Yeah.
I'm just your friendly neighborhood advisor.
Yeah.
And as he does this, it is an investment of his day repeatedly. He
Yeah.
has built up over 2,000 people on his email list. Now,
Hmm.
that is not, and he's gotten a lot of clients too, by the way. But that is not the only way to do it. That's just an
Right.
example to answer
Right.
your first question, which is don't go buy a list, upload it, and start spamming people.
Right.
That'll ruin your reputation.
Yeah.
So it's about the way you do it.
Okay.
We could go on about that, but I want to answer your other question,
Sure.
which I forgot. So there was another question.
How do you recommend building a quality list?
Yes, there we go. That's what it is. So that's where lead magnets come in a little bit that we talked about before. Those
Mhm.
lead magnets, if you use those and promote them on different channels, you don't want to gate all your content. Most of your
Right.
content should be ungated. Most of it should be ungated, but have a few select pieces that are very high value that you can gate. The other thing is industry events or local community events. We have an advisor who just brings a shred truck out to his office every Friday, and everybody in the
Mm.
community can come and
Every
bring all
Friday.
their shredding.
Wow.
It's always there. Big
Okay.
town. There's like 400,000 retirees in this community. So he has this truck there, and people just, all they have to do is sign in when they come.
Mm-hmm.
We have clients who do large events like movies in the park, or a big barbecue, or whatever, a symphony in the park. People have to register to come. They get free tickets, but when they register, they give their name, their phone number, their email address. You do a seminar, everybody registers. So it's just the thing really is that you should look for ways to get emails at every opportunity.
Yeah. I like that. All right, let me recap the most important things that I have gleaned from this. 1, how quickly it takes. There's a lot of moving parts, but do you have a framework in place already? 2, add text me your questions to your website for 4 times. And 3, if you're going to add emails to your list, do it thoughtfully in a way that it doesn't feel like spam.
Those are great takeaways.
Yeah.
Sounds like you've done this before.
Maybe a couple of times.
Yeah. But those are hard lessons. A lot of advisors really don't do those basics, but they make a big difference.
Absolutely. It's always the little things that you don't think are going to make the big difference, and they do. They do.
Yeah. Absolutely.
This was really great. Thank you for sharing with us. And for anyone joining, if you have a question specifically for Robert, you want to learn more about his business, you can go to snappykraken.com. You can also find him on LinkedIn and Twitter at Robert Sofia, Sofia. Thank you again for joining us.
It was a pleasure, Callie. Thank you. Great questions. Enjoyed it.
Yeah. For those joining, if you want to ask somebody some questions one-on-one instead of putting your question in a comment for all to read, you can scan this QR code and you can schedule a meeting with me, and I would be happy to walk through any questions that you have about marketing. And then I would say join us next week, but we're actually pushing next week to the following week. So no A.U.M. next Monday, but we will have Diana Cabrice with us on September 29th to talk about what the heck is a brand evangelist, because I didn't even know until like a year ago. So she'll be going through all the details